Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're at. Guys, I just want to jump in and just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and following. I have been watching and keeping tabs on kind of my stats and everything from the starting of this channel and brand of January 7th. It's only been a couple of months at this point, and I cannot thank you guys enough for following along. Definitely appreciate the comments, the likes, everything, all that good stuff. But more importantly, I just hope you're enjoying the content. I mean, that's the whole point of why I created this channel and wanted to expand this community. So guys, thank you so much. I do interact, so if you want to reach out to me either via Instagram or Twitter, I do reach back out, and I'm more than happy to network, chat with you, and get to know you a little bit. So anyways, jumping right in here, here's a post from the other day on my Twitter. Let's see if Bitcoin holds the line at 28.5. Currently, Bitcoin is holding the line. I mean, this is actually XRP right here, but here is Bitcoin. Let me zoom out just a tad. We are actually seeing a potential reverse head and shoulders kind of in the works right now. I'm just going to draw a quick trend line and show maybe what's to come over the next few days for you guys. So, and forgive my sloppiness here. I am working as quick as I can to get you guys this content. So, with this trend line, guys, I mean, it is important to understand that obviously TA, technical analysis, is cool and everything. It's helpful, but you got to remember it does not dictate what's going to actually happen, of course. Just kind of gives you an idea of consistencies, projections, and kind of what could happen, okay? So forgive my line here. I'm just going to give up on that line for the moment. But essentially what I wanted to point out is if we do end up having a full-on reverse head and shoulders here, which we kind of do, there's a small up, down, up, down, up, down, just general pattern there. With that, though, we could see a potential breakout to the downside. And if we cross this trend line, the neckline itself up here has us projecting to be at about 28.9 to 29K. Hopefully we see that upside to that. That would be cool. I'm happy with consolidation though, right? If we continue to consolidate while all this news is happening, it just shows the strength of Bitcoin in my opinion, right? I do think the government has worked very hard to kind of drive the markets down, and they're probably, crapping their you-know-what on the fact that it hasn't significantly dropped. They're doing everything they possibly can to do that. For what reason? I don't think anybody truly knows, but just a few people in the world. And those people are driving markets left and right with media, et cetera, et cetera. But we could see some kind of dip to the downside if we cross this trend line right here. But that's enough TA for now, guys. Moving on, though, I just want to play a quick video for you. Something that I came across this morning while I was seeing a story about the U.S. government selling off a whole bunch of Bitcoin, which we'll touch on here in just a second. But just wanted to provide some positive feels for you guys. Here's a little clip of some trading going on a few years back.
Talk to me. Make me a market. Who's buying? Who's selling here?
It's back to the future in New York's financial district.
Selling Bitcoin at 630. 625 ask. 550 bid.
Where digital currency Bitcoin
I want to make a bid.
Will you take care of that dude over there?
is being bought and sold the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, somebody just sold.
The current price right now is about $630 for a Bitcoin.
Just steps from the New York Stock Exchange.
Bitcoin has just come off a couple of weeks of extreme volatility, but on this trading floor, they're buying and selling, and confidence has not been shattered.
Right now, I think if Bitcoin is under $1,000, no matter what price it is, it's a good buy.
I think it's a great buying opportunity, if anything.
Someone will sell Bitcoin at 628.
Guys, these people that you just heard talking are very wealthy people this day. Okay, I think that's important to note. Being that you saw that clip, that location they were just at is just less than a block from the Wall Street buildings. And so I'm sure for a long time, those on Wall Street and traditional banking have seen crypto, and obviously they've known about it and been reluctant to get in on the ground floor, I'm sure, and probably are very bitter to this day. But anyways, that's just my opinion. So anyways, coming across this here. So yes, Fed seized over $1 billion in Bitcoin that were stolen allegedly from the Silkroad. Guys, this was back quite a few years back in 2013, where there was a gentleman, I'll zoom in just a tad here, gentleman named Ross Ulbricht, right? I'll show a quick picture of him here on the side. That's Ross in 2013. Essentially, he was arrested for allegedly stealing funds, Bitcoin, off of the Silk Road. Silk Road, if you're not familiar, was just a dark web way to purchase Bitcoin under the radar and not on any exchange, right? And what you saw there with them trading in person, that's actually pretty interesting. That's how Bitcoin trading initially happened. You had to put your trust in another person and essentially paid them through PayPal. Right. And so that's a lot of the, I would say, bullish reasons why a lot of people are behind XRP and the founder of XRP, because he was also involved in kind of pushing the originality or the original way to trade Bitcoin, right, through PayPal. Okay. So he's been around for quite a while. I am very bullish on XRP, just my opinion, not financial advice. But anyways, here, guys. Yep. So at the time in 2013, that amount of Bitcoin, which was just shy of 70,000 Bitcoin, wasn't quite what it's worth today, right? Valued at the time of over $15,000 a piece, had to be forfeited to the government, according to court documents. The Bitcoins once belonged to a Silkroad founder, which is Ross Ulbricht, who was sentenced to life in prison in 2015, right? It was alleged that he got the finances, the Bitcoin illegally. And of course, they looked at Silkroad illegally. There was a lot of illegal action going on Silkroad. And so he kind of took the hit for that and was sentenced to life in prison, right? So his sentence started in 2015. He was arrested in 2013. But here's why I'm bringing that up, okay? The government today, actually, it was just released today that back on March 14th, our government, U.S. government, sold 9,800 of that amount that we just mentioned of Bitcoin. Okay, so just reading this document here with the respect to the 51,351 Bitcoin that was forfeited. That article I just read a moment ago said that there was a lot more forfeited, but we'll go off of this because this is an actual document from the courts that he had to forfeit the money in the case before Judge Schofield. Essentially in 2023, just a couple of days ago on March 14th, there was 9,861 Bitcoin that was sold off for a total of $215 million, just shy of $216 million, had a little over 215,000 in transaction fees. Guys, that's relevant because it is believed that this remaining Bitcoin is going to continue to get sold off over the course of the rest of the year. I think that's relevant just because obviously the government is trying everything they can to take down crypto, but yet they are selling at the rate that it's at right now, probably with the idea in mind that Bitcoin's going to take a fall, right? I'm not saying that's not going to happen. I'm also not saying it isn't going to happen, right? Because there's a lot of information out there that's working really hard to drive the markets down. We've got the information with Disney laying off their metaverse employees, a whole bunch of information around crypto crackdowns with the Quan, with CZ at Binance being sued for allegedly having a trading desk that was secret for 300 different people. We'll see kind of what's to come with that. But I do think the government is expecting Bitcoin to take a hit very soon. And hopefully we, the people, can make sure that that does not happen, right? There is some bullish information as far as international Bitcoin. I do know that China is going to be opening up. The goal, at least what we're hearing, is that they're going to be opening up trading in June for what's been a prior ban for the last couple of years on crypto. Right? With China being the largest active wallet holder in crypto across the world, how can that not be bullish, right? Even if the US loses the ability to trade Bitcoin or to hold Bitcoin, et cetera, Bitcoin as a whole, or crypto as a whole, is going to continue to go in the direction that we all want it to, in my opinion, over the course of time. Okay. So touching on that though, Elizabeth Warren here, she is pushing to get rid of your wallets. All right, look at her. She is just on a tirade lately, isn't she? Her and Gary Gensler both. But yeah, that is something that a lot of people, I'm sure, are very scared of. So just make sure that you have your money on, a cold wallet, right? Cold storage wallet, not on exchange, as they continue to come after these exchanges, aka Coinbase, with the Wells notice issued just the other day stating that Coinbase is going to be next on the chopping block for the SEC. The CFTC coming after CZ at Binance for what I mentioned a moment ago. I mean, all's kind of steering towards the idea that there's going to be a crash soon, okay? I personally have been saying for quite a while that Bitcoin's probably going to see around a 16K, 17K in the next few months, so that could be a good time to potentially buy. I know me personally might be taking out some profits along the way, but also when that time comes, probably look at that as a discount. Me personally, not financial advice, just giving you my opinion on that. Okay, so good luck, Elizabeth Warren, but I do not think you're going to take down the crypto community. All right, moving on though, the topic I mentioned a moment ago about selling this Bitcoin, right? This came from a gentleman on Twitter at tier 10K. Also unusual whales. I'm going to touch on a tweet of his here in just a moment, but this information is widespread as far as what was getting sold off by the government. Everything I talk about on these videos on my channel, I do cite all the sources in the description. Okay, so anything I talk about is mostly factual, but also opinion based. So keep that in mind, guys. Moving on though, unusual whales had posted this today. So Nicole Miliotakis, a New York politician, bought New York Community Bank Corp stock on March 17th. Okay. Think about the connection here for a moment. All right. So we've got the Bitcoin being sold off on the 14th. Right. We've got a politician buying into the bank, New York Community Bank Corp, that essentially is purchasing Signature Bank. That information came out 24 hours after this politician had made an investment into the bank. Again, Bitcoin was sold off en masse by the government just days before the bank crash for Signature Bank, pro-crypto bank. Right? Here's showing her only trade that she's ever made in history, at least what's on capitaltrades.com. Right here, when it was very low, it saw its lowest point right here. That is relevant because less than 24 hours later, as it says here, New York Community Bank Corp announced that they're buying Signature Bank, right? How can there not be a connection there? I'm not going to make any allegations, but think about that. March 14th, bunch of Bitcoin sold off, $215 million worth. Days later, this politician buys stock into a service or into a company that's about to announce that they're purchasing Signature Bank, right? Something's going on there, right? And I'm not just speculating here. Elizabeth Warren herself, her contributions, her top contributions have came from the elite, right? Alphabet, aka Google, donated $680,000 to her campaigns. Apple, $272,000 to her campaigns. Amazon, $238,000. Microsoft, $206,000. Walt Disney, $153,000, and a bunch I've not mentioned, right? So all these donors are pushing money towards an elected official, politician Elizabeth Warren, who has been consistently coming after crypto, along with Gary Gensler, who just asked for $2.4 billion more dollars for the SEC to continue to enforce crypto, right? There is an all-out attack on crypto right now, guys. Be aware of what's going on there. Make sure that you're zooming out, you're looking at the charts, and you're listening to the right people, right? You're zooming out. You don't have the expectation of making a whole bunch of money fast, but just accumulating. That's what I like to do. I like to look at dollar cost averaging as a way to remove the emotion from all of this, right? If you don't have that emotion and you believe in something long term, you know the direction of where it's going, right? You don't necessarily, you can't say that for sure, obviously, but you have a good understanding of where something might be going if you know the foundation is strong, right? If the government steps in and they exile all crypto wallets, you still have your cold storage, right? They cannot get rid of that, okay? And so with that, obviously the bullish news I mentioned with China, I think is also relevant here. So with China, a lot of people moving over to the yuan, with BRICS and all the stuff that's going on regarding the US dollar collapse, and BRICS kind of stepping in and talking about how they're going to be moving over to the yuan across the board, and it's going to be backed by Saudi reserves. Here we have 80 Web3 firms lined up to set up shop in Hong Kong, right? So come June, crypto regulations are supposed to be lifted in China across the board. And yeah, they've set up shop to make sure that they're the hub for innovation to come for all crypto, for all Web3 development. So I think the US has definitely taken a back seat on seeing leading as innovation as a priority, right? I think there's a lot of people that are having their pockets lined by allowing this to happen, aka Elizabeth Warren, Gary Gensler. I think a lot of people involved are not out for our best interest, right? Again, guys, these are all my own opinions. They're things that I think are relevant to talk about, but I don't want you looking at it as FUD, right? There's a lot of FUD out there that will say this stuff followed by crypto's crashing, right? Be careful to who you listen to, right? Follow the right people on Twitter, find the right information online. When I say the right information that can be validated, right? And again, guys, thank you so much for watching. I personally do think that Bitcoin has a bright future. If you guys like the video, like, comment, subscribe, you know all the good stuff there. And I hope you guys have an awesome day. See you soon.